40 for Dr. Schrader's class in relation to Brenner's article on listening, communication, and trust. After reading through the questions, question 1 is, what was the initial question which Brenner was trying to solve? And we concluded that the question was, are listening and communication critical integral elements in a business relationship? And do communication and listening have a role in building and maintaining relationships? Also on page 75 of the article, there were some sub-questions which Brenner also defined, which were, what is a business organizational relationship? How do you describe good business and organizational relationship? How do you describe a bad business or organizational relationship? And how successful is a business/organizational relationship built? These were used in his analysis, findings, and his interviews with people.
Okay, so for number 2, it asks, what method did the author use to collect evidence that might answer this question? And I saw that they used a variety of qualitative methods, and this allowed the interviews to become conversations with a purpose. They also used other methods like convenience and snowball sampling, and by this they identified 10 PR professionals who were willing to participate. And out of these 10 people, half were male, half were female, and they did that to create a good balance. There were also a variety of jobs that the people worked, from agencies to nonprofits, and this helped the researchers achieve a good mix of results. And different races were also represented, as well as people in management positions. So from here, they conducted phone interviews, which were recorded with the participants' knowledge, and they began each interview with the same question. They asked them, how do you define the term relationship in the context of business? This was then followed by a variety of related questions that were asked to each participant in different orders, and they did this so that the results would be comparable. I think the author used these methods to help get an understanding on the differences or similarities between answers from each person that was coming from a diverse background. And the phone interview was necessary because people lived all across the U.S., and because of this, I think that it makes a difference on the results. People may be more open sharing their ideas if they're not engaged in the pressure of face-to-face communication.
In question 3, when the evidence was assembled, what answer did it support? And what emerged were specific themes related to the listening process. They were, in fact, a part of the business relationship. Active listening and communication are essential for building and maintaining relationships. Other findings, which Brenner also found, were participants had a difficult time describing relationships without using the terms listening, trust, and communication. And participants also found face-to-face communication was especially important when building strong relationships. In Table 1 of our report, you can see a marketing executive analysis where you can see at the bottom where the least amount of participation was in customer support using phone interactions or perhaps email interactions. The most effective was, in fact, face-to-face communication, which was customer engagement or direct customer communications.
Okay, number 4 asks, what from this article do we know about organizational communication that we didn't know before? And after reading this article, I think that we're a lot more aware of the effect that listening has in the success or the failure of an organizational relationship, on how they are built and maintained. Before, other concepts like trust, common goals, shared decision-making, and commitment always seem to take the forefront of what was important in a business and relationship. But what this study really brings to the plate that wasn't there before is that none of the participants could describe a good relationship without using the terms listening, trust, and communication. So the theme of listening is always popping out, and it really deserves more recognition and study and more education, even starting earlier, like in schools. before people go off into their careers. And it's because of its importance in building and maintaining these work relationships. Also, when participants were asked to describe a bad relationship, their answers always included a lack of good listening or communication skills.
So why does this matter? What brings any sort of light from this analysis? Well, in terms of business, knowing the secondary party is key to engaging in successful long-term business ventures. The more the first party knows about the second party, the easier it will be to engage and execute any business interactions. Essentially what this means is the more one group knows about another group, the easier it is to actually understand how they operate, how they work. Say if they were to have a business meeting, where a business meeting would best promote a friendly environment and friendly interactions between the two parties. That sort of a thing would work. If a board meeting was too formal or the appropriate place to be, having that listening communication and picking up on those key elements would definitely help in facilitating with the listening skills and communication network, which is what Brenna is trying to emphasize.
So in the last question, it says, where, if anywhere, does this fit into the topics we've covered in class from Miller or Arbinger text? And I think it fits nicely into the Arbinger text where Bud and Tom are talking, and Bud realizes the connection between good communication and listening skills, and he sees how this improves the work relationship. And on page 15, he's asking Tom about his previous boss, Chuck, and it's clear to see that Tom harbors negative feelings towards his old boss, partially because he says he thought of no one but himself, and that means that he didn't take the time to listen, or he didn't show Tom that he cared about him as an individual. Because of this, Tom's seen him as a jerk, and he probably didn't put as much effort into pleasing him because there was no positive relationship between them. It's also in the organizational communication book in Miller, page 22, Max Weaver's Theory of Bureaucracy. And here it lists two different kinds of authority. We have traditional and charismatic. And we think that it fits more in charismatic authority because this has to do with relating to, or it's based on interaction and communication more so than the other one. And then also page 43 on human relations approach or human resources approach. This acknowledges individuals' feelings and makes relationships a goal and listening to employees a goal. And to supplement this approach, the visual that we have is the dual network in enterprise. And this illustrates the relationships in the communication network. You can tell from looking at the picture, all the little circles are connected, and this shows that they're all working together. They have strong relationships, and that the organization's stronger. And the one below, the formal organization, this is just showing the classic model of a top-down, the manager, and then the supervisors, the employees below, but you don't get the same sense that there's a strong communication and listening between all those people.
So in conclusion, we have come to find that listening is definitely a part of the communication process of a business or organizational relationship. Without it, a business organization would definitely hinder those relationships which are imperative, especially in this world's business market. In order to have those barriers knocked down, it allows for a better business, not to mention more long-term relationships which will last overall as opposed to short-term relationships.